So welcome back to part 2 as we continue on to the rest of the face. Now we're going to finish off the rest of the face, and I'm using my Professional by Benefit primer. This is going to help blur imperfections, fill in your pores, and fill in some fine lines, and I just love this primer. L'Oreal also has a primer that's very similar to this. It's their Skin Perfector or something like that. It's the kind in the pot, and it has kind of like that little bit of a gritty texture. That's the kind of texture that you want to fill in your pores and fill in fine lines. Now for the face, I'm using a BB cream because it is very, very sheer. She doesn't have a whole lot of discoloration or imperfections to cover up, so I'm opting for something like this, and I'm adding just a teensy tiny little dot of my liquid highlighter to it. Another thing that you can do is, like any kind of illuminating primer that has like those light reflecting beads, or anything like that that's light reflecting, that has a teensy tiny little bit of shimmer to it, adding like a tiny little bit, a dot. Notice that I'm emphasizing the tiny because you don't want to look like you've got a shiny face, but if you just add a little bit, it's going to add kind of like this luminescent glow, and it's going to look more natural than adding a bunch of highlighters to your face, and it's going to give you just like a really nice, really subtle glow, and it definitely makes a difference. But when it comes to the rest of your face, the key to looking younger is less is more. I cannot emphasize that enough. Less is more. If you use a full coverage foundation, cut the amount that you use in like a half or even a fourth of what you're using now, and really just concentrate on blending that into the skin. Or you can opt out and use a BB cream or a tinted moisturizer or a really, really, really lightweight foundation. For under the eyes, I am using my magic little concoction that I came up with, using like a regular concealer, like a liquid concealer, and mixing that half and half with the L'Oreal, it's like the anti-dull salmon peachy color corrector, and that really helps counteract the darkness under your eyes, and that really helps lift the eyes. And if you start on the inner corner and then go across and then down the sides of the nose and then up to the corner and make that triangular area, that's really going to help lift the whole face. Also, here's another little tidbit for foundation. If you seem to always find yourself looking pasty after you apply your foundation, go for either your BB cream or foundation, whichever you use, that's a shade darker than the one that matches your skin tone. If you go a shade darker, it'll give you more of a healthy glow look, and it won't, make it look like you're wearing the wrong shade. It'll just have a really nice effect. Now for dark under eye bags, what you can do is just, I didn't mix this with the corrector color. I just took a little brush and I'm putting a little bit underneath where you see the shadow. And for her, I need to use something a little bit more lighter, because for putting it underneath the shadow where the bag makes, you definitely want to use like a shade of concealer that is lighter than the rest of your skin. Now for a blush, you want to definitely get a cream or mousse-like kind of blush. That's going to give you a more youthful, helpful, or healthy glow. And powders tend to settle into lines, so when it comes to the face, opt out for anything that is creamy. I'm just taking a matte bronzer and going around the perimeter of her face, underneath the chin, to kind of help shorten her face and make her face look more round and youthful as opposed to long. And I'm going around her jaw where the skin has kind of begin to drop down a little bit, and underneath her cheekbones to lift the sides of her cheeks. and then down along the sides of her neck and across the forehead. And across the forehead is again going to help shorten the face and make it look more round and more youthful. If you do not want to use the powder like I had suggested against earlier, I just don't have anything else on hand, you can use the L'Oreal, like the True Match cover sticks, and you can just make lines where you want to contour and then just blend it out and make it look really sheer. This, I'm just using a translucent powder over top to help the concealer stay in place. Using a translucent powder on top of your cream products will not sink into lines because it's pretty much invisible. Like, you don't see translucent powder at all, especially if you dust all the excess away. This, I'm using a shimmery bronzer. You can barely see that I'm even applying anything on, and I'm just doing this just to give her a little bit more of a glow. This is the Mousse bronzer by Maybelline. I don't know if they still have the Mousse cheek color line, but if they don't, I'm sure they replaced it with something else. I'm finishing up with this berry type lip color. It looks a little bit more brown on camera, but it's a really pretty berry color. And also, while I'm doing this, I wanted to add a couple of more tips in there. Sticking with nudes and matte bronzers alone tend to look lifeless on skin that has lost its natural luminescence over the years. So you want to try for like a neutral rosy pink color like I put on her, and you want to do that on your cheeks and on your lips. On the lips, you definitely want to do a lighter coverage. I'm using a brush right here, and that's going to help the color stay on the lips, and it's going to help it not feather out around the edges, because lipstick that feathers out on the edges isn't just a lip line kind of disappearing over the years. It's also a result of applying too much product. So applying it with a brush helps prevent all that extra product that you would get from like directly from the tube onto your lips. It's going to help eliminate that problem. And also another tip I missed whenever I was doing the cheeks part, but concentrate the cheek color up on your cheekbones, not on the apples of your cheeks, because the apples of your cheeks are like nice and they like are brought up whenever you smile, but you're not smiling 24/7. So if you put the color on your cheeks and then on the apples of your cheeks and then you're not smiling, it's going to draw down the face and it's going to make your cheeks look really droopy instead of, you know, accentuating your cheekbones. So that's just another tidbit that I thought that I would throw in there. Now, just a couple of tips for hair. Adding some bangs will definitely make you look more youthful. So I'm just putting down my mom's wispy bangs that I had pinned up previously. And here is the finished result. I hope you learned some neat tips and tricks in this pretty lengthy video. I do apologize for how long it was, but I just couldn't cut it down because there was, you know, just a lot of tips. So here's the before and after, and don't forget to subscribe and like, share with your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.